have approval of the minutes from August 14th, please?
Motion to accept the minutes as read of August 14th.
Seconded?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any public input? Okay, Frank, you're up.
Great. Hello again, everyone. Thank you for having posted me again. Appreciate the time. So, Jason, I know we met with the Sewer Commission, is that the water treatment? I just want to make sure I got the terminology correct here. A couple weeks ago to discuss the proposed solar layout of the solar array. So what we're talking about, by the way, good news, the array on the roof is producing great. You have about $1,000 credit on the most recent monthly bill, so I know the town will worry about moving those credits around. I did talk to Faye about the bill for the water treatment center, and that $6,000 credit is actually from your net metering agreement with the other solar providers outside town. The way net metering credits work is that there are solar arrays in other parts of the state that produce power, and the utility gives them credits. Those credits sit on their bill. They have to turn them into cash because the utility won't pay them cash. That may change in the future with new programs, but today they get credits. So what they do is they strike agreements with people like you, and they will send you credits, and then it gets distributed some to the, because everything's from the utility perspective, everything is by the meter. So it gets distributed to different meters across town, different accounts. And then, so even though you see a $6,000 credit on your bill, the town is paying, and I'm just making numbers up here, $5,000 for those credits. So that's how that company gets their money back.
I think she told me it was half.
Yeah,
Like the
maybe it's
bill.
3,000. Like, every agreement is different depending on what programs they're put under and what, that every agreement is different because that land might have been a cornfield and it was cheap to put the system in as opposed to rocky and ledge and all that stuff. So that's all, every one of those deals is independent and different. So what we're talking about here is a slightly different deal where we're going to put an array on the ground. We'll hook in what's called behind the meter, just like we have in this building, and that will basically just cut the bill down directly on the water treatment center bill. So what will happen is, as the array is producing power, those electrons will go into the water treatment center before National Grid puts more electrons out. If we overproduce, we'll send the power back to the grid and it gets netted out on a monthly basis. Okay? So I think, there's two things here. One of the economic benefits to the town, and then logistically, is this committee happy with the layout? Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, is that the Water Commission is kind of looking at the economic benefits, and we're really close.
The sewer
Sewer Commission, not water.
Right.
Oh, sorry, Sewer Commission, my apologies.
The sewer commission is looking at the financial benefit of it, but because there's not enough room down there, it has to come over on to encroach on our space over here. So there's just, we have to make sure the layout's good with everybody beforehand. And we know the other thing we were talking about was the financial end of things, was how beneficial is it going to be? So unfortunately, Matt can't be here tonight.
Yeah. So I think,
I'm concerned about that also.
okay, of course, yeah.
I don't think $4,000 or $5,000 a year is sufficient,
Okay.
my opinion. I think Jason agrees with me. It all depends on the other members.
Is there room in the net meter allocation? Because I think right now net metering is capped in the National Grid territory.
Net metering is-
You're going to be qualified facility to start with?
Well, it won't be relevant because we're going to be behind the meter and we're going to produce less than that system than the water treatment center uses. So that really doesn't come
So
into
you'll
play.
never exceed the use of that building?
Not on an annual basis, no. And also because the way net metering works is you're one per parcel, this system on this roof has already checked the box for this parcel, and it is one parcel according to national.
That's the definition of net metering facility.
Yeah, so we cannot put another net metering facility on this parcel of land. But this system, because it's behind the meter, is viable. And to the economic benefit, one of the things is we offer that price very low, for a long time. Electricity has had some benefits with the fracking and all that, but over the past couple of years, we have a dearth of supply in the New England. Entergy bought the two nuclear plants, Yankee up in Vermont and Pilgrim down on the South Shore. They shut down Yankee. They spent millions of dollars on Pilgrim to extend the license for that. They get it every 20 years. They have to spend millions of dollars to get recertified. They got recertified. In 2012, they got recertified to let that system, the Pilgrim nuclear plant, run to 2032. Entergy has decided to shut it off anyways, because their maintenance costs and their operation costs are more expensive. So they were actually shutting down 1.5 megawatts of power from Pilgrim in 2019. Brayton Point, the last coal plant in New England, just got shut down at the end of May. You know, so if I was a betting man, I would, you know, the rates aren't going to go down. And what's also happening is utilities are looking to take care of that. You might see some natural gas ads. Of course, I probably see them because of the stuff I search on Google all the time. But, you know, I'm starting to see these natural gas ads coming in. And yeah, we probably could use some new pipelines coming in. But when they invest $1 billion in a pipeline, one of the reasons they want to do that is their economic model is when utilities invest $1 billion, they go back to the Public Utility Commission and say, we've invested $1 billion, we're guaranteed 9.99% return. That's the return. It's a 40-year loan, so that's $100 million that gets put in the rate case to up the charge on the delivery portion of the bill. And interesting enough, the gas pipeline they want to put on the electric side of the company. They're also looking to bring the lines down from Hydro-Quebec. But again, they want to spend $1 billion to run those transmission lines down. And I can tell you, because I have relatives in New Hampshire, they're fighting it tooth and nail. And now we're going to bury it in different portions, and that just adds to the cost. So that's, you know, we don't think the electricity rates are going to go down. So it may be only $5,000 the first year, but as as utility rates keep going up, we predict that they'll increase faster than, you know, the PPA rate. So it may be $5,000 today, but in a few years that could be the same power and everything could be saving you $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. So.
But that's if the rate goes up.
That's if the rate goes up.
Right.
So I mean, worst case scenario.
For the town, the rate has not gone up, for the most part. It stays pretty flat.
Yeah. But but in the past 3 years, Yankees going offline, Pilgrim's going offline, Brayton going offline.
Twice that amount of solar that's gone in to make up those plants.
Actually, only about a meg and a half, 1.5 megs has gone, or gigs, sorry, 1.5 gigs has gone in. And one plant is that's about equivalent to one. But the difference, the nuke plant runs 24/7.
Right.
Solar doesn't run 24/7. So even though, yeah, the nameplate's the same, they don't produce the same kilowatt hours a year. Mm-hmm. Again, this is a decision, and we work with you guys off and on for the past year and a half. I think we have a good design here. SREC program is going to be sunsetting at the end of March. There will be a new program after that, but it's not as, you know, it's a little bit less incentive, so that means the price I can offer you today is not the same price we have to offer you tomorrow. Right. So I think we're kind of down to, you know, physical configuration, I think is what you're focusing on today, right, Jason? And I have the two layouts we can discuss. Okay?
2 different ones there.
So, any other questions before we dig into this?
Question.
Shoot.
Do those credits, and I assume it's kind of like the sale of those credits, do they have to stay within this particular, I thought they could go to any place in the country and be sold.
Sits on the credits?
Yeah.
So,
You know, because I read this about some of the oil companies, if you're creating
ethanol?
Well, the ethanol, plus if you're redoing, you know, waste oil from restaurants and stuff, that some of the oil companies will buy those. And there's new nuclear power plants going on down in, where is it, in Georgia? And
right.
So I would assume that they would have those same issues.
Yeah, we live in New England, there's a lot of NIMBYism here, we all know it.
Yeah.
You know, the problem is, in general, there's not a lot of generation in the Northeast. It's a very developed part of the country.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants a new power plant put in. Coal, regardless of what current administrations are doing, economically is disadvantaged right now, and it's dirty. And I mean, if anything, there's a lot, regardless Paris Accord, look, if anything, over the next 20 years, is production that carbon will start being taxed, some way, shape, or form. That even the coal industry, even the fossil fuel industry is pushing for that to have predictability in their industries. But to your point, so there's different limits of how far credits can move. For example, on the net metering credits, it has to be same utility, same load zone. So, for example, if you build a plant out in Wamiko, which is now Eversource, you can't take credits from that plant and move it here.
Okay.
And even if you put National Grid over near Boston, well, that's a different, even though it's still National Grid, that's the NEMA load zone, so the WICMA, Western Central Mass load zone. And it's about accounting, it's about part of it's technical with the grid, and the other part is the accounting. National Grid can credit their own accounts, they can't credit Eversource and vice versa.
Okay.
And that's for the net metering credits.
Yeah, I didn't know if the net metering applied all the way across the country and we could take something from here and...
Because, well, mostly historically, electricity is regulated at the state level. So each state does their own. I know we have the ISO grid, so there is playback with the regional grids, and then which is more of a technical, but there's the marketplace of bidding into there. So that's
Okay.
but that's at the gigawatt level. When they're coming in, they're coming at the gigawatt. The stuff that we're doing here, nobody even sees. It's so tiny.
Okay.
Compared.
Frank, I'm sorry, I have a question. When you estimate that the rate National Grid is going up, is it based on their existing delivery rate, kilowatt hour?
So
What about the supply rate?
right. So when we look at it, we look at the rate as a holistic thing, and I think about right now you're paying 13 something for electric rates. And again, we looked at
But that's National Grid for delivery.
that's everything. That's your supply rate, which is
Not so.
your supply rate's about 9.31 cents,
That's not
9.93, and I give the exact numbers you want, and then the delivery portion of the bill is about 4 cents. So that works out to be about 13 something. That's the last bill I analyzed
My bill
from.
is higher than that.
What was that?
I'm paying 11 point something % for supply.
Right, because you're at your home.
Yeah.
Right. The smaller you are, the higher you pay for supply. The town negotiates a contract for all their properties. That's why your supply rate, the town supply rate is only 9.3 instead of 11 something. And also different facilities. This facility right here is paying 17.8 cents total for kilowatts. This bill for this facility is only charged because of the class of the meter. All charges are kilowatt hours. That meter at the water treatment center, which has the big load, 300,000 plus load a year, that bill is broken up into kilowatt hours, which is about 13 cents, and kilowatt demand. And that kilowatt demand, we may benefit you. I think we will knock some of that down, but I can't financially model that because I can't guarantee that. So I think you'll get some benefit there. I mean, it'd be really interesting to analyze it after a year, but I can't promise you that. So I can't put our financial benefit to that. So over there, the bill, say it was 17 cents over there, you pay 10,000 a month. You still pay 10,000 a month, but they just split up the charges into different buckets, kilowatt hours and kilowatts. And that is then split into delivery and supply. I'd be happy to go through the bill if you want. Do this all the time. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Matt, you wanted something?
I'm just going to speak to the SREC program, and if I'm correct, there's two things going on with the current one. Is if this is ground mounted, then it's got a lower value SREC than, say, a parking canopy, because the initial installation costs are assumed to be greater. So the SREC program might give you 70% of what they call one renewable energy credit, and that's based on 1 kilowatt? Or 1 megawatt.
1,000 kilowatt hours.
So-
There's kilowatt hours and kilowatts.
So 1 megawatt hour.
1 megawatt hour, but
One SREC.
Well, but then you get an SREC factor applied to that.
And that's the 0.7.
Right,
So
right,
then,
0.7, 0.6, 0.55, right, there's all different, right.
and so what is the size of this?
200 kilowatts.
Okay. So what
Which
I'm
produces
trying to
about
suggest is this is not going to have a great SREC return over the year because it's not a huge system. And it's ground mounted, so it's one of the least favorable. I think the only thing less favorable is the landfill, because they consider that there's nothing else you can do with a landfill except put solar on it.
Right, and again, for this, just to clarify, this system on the roof here, which the town owns, the town gets the SRECs. For this system, the proposal is that we select, we'll use our capital, invest in it, we will be getting those SREC dollars. But again, since it's less SREC dollars, that means I can't offer you 20 grand of savings. I mean, if SRECs were 3 times what they are, I could. But because when the investment looks at the whole investment of the system, we look at the different, there's tax benefits, there's this, that.
This is
But,
a power purchase agreement.
This is a power purchase agreement, yes.
So what are you proposing to the town with that agreement?
So what are, 12.5 cents? I think it's that right now?
I think it was.
Yeah.
I forget.
Yeah, and we've gone back and forth on it, and we kind of got hung up on some of the physicalities, so we want to just nail that down, and once we nail that down, we're gonna go back and reprice it one last time, because we might go, because we're now looking to maybe use the other half of this roof, that's a little bit cheaper, so blend it out, that may actually, we might be able to do a little bit better on that, because, we're kind of at that, the customers always say, okay, what's your final price? Well, when you're ready to contract, then we can go and look at suppliers and all that stuff and get that contract price today. So right around 12.5 cents is where we're at. Okay.
And currently they're doing about 13.5 over there, or?
Yeah, let me just grab it.
And I know you just mentioned there's a lot of pieces to it, but I just meant the average
Yeah.
rate in
It was
comparison.
like $4,800 the first year, I think it was.
Yeah, 47, 48, something like that. What, as chairman of the sewer commission, what I want, I agree with Jason, is where we're gonna be utilizing town land, DPW land, let's say. I want a majority vote from the public works before we say yes.
Gotcha, yeah.
And I'd like to get more information before we vote on it.
So, go ahead.
Are you gonna be adding any more lagoons or anything like that down there in that area?
No, I doubt it, not at this point, no.
When he shows you the layout, Ron, it's kind of, it's spread out along the back, behind where the fence is now, towards the houses over there.
Yeah.
And then the reason, it was supposed to all be there, but there's some,
We found what we think is a wetland over there. We think,
right,
but we haven't actually done the.
might not be.
Yeah.
And they, so that's why we're looking at other options where we put something around the salt shed, some on the roof. That's the other option.
Can you all, with this already a unit, and that's gonna be separate?
It'll have to be wired
So-
down to there.
And the reason is, and there's actually there's a couple reasons for that. So, let me get that separate. Let me just go back to the economics for a minute. To get the numbers from the last analysis I did. Your rate per kilowatt hour right now is 13.73. The rate we offered you right now is 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So we estimate, first year, 4,700, escalating over time. We estimate that over 20 years, we'll save $250,000 to the town. Plus, and again, if there are any demand charge,
That's 3% every year.
that is,
That's never gonna happen.
That's all based on your projection that National Grid's gonna go up.
correct.
That I don't like.
Again, I can rerun numbers. I can run it at 2%. I can run it, you tell me where you want me to run it. I can run it at numbers. But taking, let's say it's flat,
Flat, that's how I would.
$5,000 a year, at 20 years is still $100,000 savings.
You say it's not possible to put two systems on the one property. Can't we just make this system larger?
Okay, good question. So, we are limited, when you put a system in, you have to choose a meter to put it behind. We already applied for this one. We were limited by the size we could put in this one based upon how much electrical was in this closet and your budget. We only filled half the roof originally, but if we wanted to do more on this building, we would have had to spend a lot of money to have new lines pulled in from the street because this building didn't have enough juice. Over there, by the way, this building doesn't use much, so the nice thing about this building, we have it for net metering, you're getting credits, now you can allocate that wherever you want it. Over there, you have big lines coming in, that place uses a ton of power, you have the gear to go in there, the gear to handle a large solar array.
Why don't we trade the certificate from here to there and just run a cable?
You can't just, we'd have to reapply.
Do you commit to
Well,
reapply on the cable?
problem is now everything's capped out, so there's no availability for net metering anymore. A year and a half ago there was, now there's not. So, we're in a moving regulatory environment, so.
You can't switch the metering from, you
Nope.
can't relicense and one, that seems strange, you can't shift it.
We're dealing with government regulatory at the state level, and we're dealing with the bureaucracy of utilities.
Is our
So-
restriction here because of the usage of the facility, or is it because of just the line back to the pole?
Well, again, for this system,
Equipment in the line back to the pole?
yeah, we could not, for this building, we could not, without upgrading all the electrical, we couldn't have done more. And again, your decision, based on your budget, we basically fit your budget anyways. We could have fit a couple more panels on here, given the electrical, but based on budget, I think it was 60, then called it back to 50. So, that was for this system.
What kind of benefit are we getting annually from this system?
Well, last month was like $1,000.
What's interesting,
And you're looking at 400 a month over there?
Yeah.
The larger
Roughly,
system,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
occupies a
Just-
lot of land.
but
Keep in mind, this we own.
And it ties up the land for 20 years.
Right.
Just to clarify that, you own all the maintenance of that system,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Under the PPA?
Right, and again, we're really, just to compare, it really is apples and oranges.
Right.
Between the two systems. Because this system, and I think actually, we actually ran the numbers one time. For this system, you spend about $200,000. Yes, and you're getting a bigger benefit, but you had to come up with $200,000. So if you look at the cost of money and all that stuff, the benefits X at the end. We ran it doing a PPA on this building, it was X plus or minus 10%. If you actually financially net it out, whether you own it or whether we own it, the benefits to the town are within 10-20%. It's not a huge difference because whoever capitals it works. So somebody's got to pay for capital.
Right, and that's once again against your predictions that our costs are gonna go up quite a bit from National Grid, which they historically have.
I mean, long-term historically electric rates have gone up 3.5% long term.
Long term.
And this is 20-year term. And the fact that rates
Yeah,
have
but
been pretty,
3% a year is a big difference than 3% long term. I mean, I don't know. I won't interfere, Mark.
no, you're, I want you guys to feel comfortable with this.
I've
And I just,
done the own research in my own house and.
Just quick math, because you can really break this down without having to look at the bigger picture. We're currently paying $13.73 a kilowatt on average based on all the calculations that go into it. And they give us a rate of 12. That means we save 12% of our electric bill every month. Actually, it's almost 13. It was like 12.6% just by doing the difference in the savings per kilowatt. So if we have the same estimated usage of that facility, we're gonna cut 12% of that electric bill. And if I'm correct with this plan, there's no upfront cost at all for us. This is just us signing saying you can do this, and we're gonna get the 2-cent savings per kilowatt.
all right.
They're gonna get the SREC and whatever else they save in order to make it worth them on their side of the contract. But pretty much what we're saying is we're not gonna use the land, they own all the maintenance, and we're gonna cut our electric bill by 12%.
What did,
That's the simplest way to look at it. I mean, there are little details involved, but
what was our utility bill just for the water treatment, wastewater treatment plant?
I don't know off the top of my head, John. I don't.
Do you know, Frank?
What's the
We
question?
have the most recent bill. for the wastewater
Most
plant.
recent bill, the last year's bill for the plant?
Overall,
Yeah.
Oh, just the last bill.
the last bill,
Yeah, I gave it to you the other
yeah,
day.
I have it in a spreadsheet here. Give me a second.
I can get it, John.
Give me a second.
Off the top of my head, we see 30 of them.
You know, because that's based on a facility using power 24 hours a day.
well, right.
Where
and
this is different.
The PPA isn't though, right? The one he's proposing is, and if I'm correct, you're not adjusting based on the season. That's a straight savings per kilowatt all year round.
Correct.
Which you're not gonna get here because in the winter, that system's gonna kind of shut down.
Right.
And that's where they're kind of estimating the costs for the whole year and averaging it out where they know they're gonna make their money in the summer and lose their money in the winter and hopefully make some money when they're all done.
Now,
That's their accounting.
Right.
so the water treatment center today
Yep.
uses about, on average, 32,000 kilowatt hours a month. The high month of 39, a low month of 27. And that could be just, one month they read the meter at 28 days, one month they read the meter at 34 days. But everything gets netted out. Okay? So, and we're looking to do about 20,000 a month. So we're about 2/3, we'll supply about 2/3 of the electricity that the water treatment center uses. And then to net all that out, saves about 12% on the bill.
So like $4,400, John, a month, roughly. Right, exactly.
$4,800 a year, we're talking about saying.
One month, which is what he said, basically 12%.
Well, that's 8%.
How much do you have their
It is big.
their rate so you can figure out how much they're spending a month in actual
And
electricity?
actually, since it's other, it's not.
About
Yeah, on
4,400, about 4,400. about 46 a month, you have that on numbers. Give or take.
550, something like that a month.
By the way, I just brought up, just to let you know, you're right. The rates have been pretty low for a while. Part of it on the supply side was fracking got put in.
I did.
What's interesting is, when we were younger, they would put an oil well in the ground. An oil well will produce for 20, 30 years. When they put a fracking well in the ground, that produces for about a year. Just by the design, they put a tube in the ground, they crack it. You can think about it as it cracks in a radius out from wherever they put it in, and that they basically make it spongy. They suck all the gas out, and they're done. Then they got to put another one. So every year they put new fracking wells in. So that's one of the things that kept supply low the past decade. And what's interesting here is National Grid, their distribution rates. Last September, the DPU let National Grid upgrade their rates last October. So National Grid kept their rates kind of flat, but now they're starting to increase them. And with all the power plants getting shut off, now they got to start investing in bringing, whether it's a new pipeline, a new transmission line, whatever it is, because there's no new power plants going to get built here. We know that. No one's putting a nuke plant in. No one's putting a coal plant in. Even if they want to put gas-fired plants in, they got to get the pipelines to bring the gas in. So whatever infrastructure they build, whether it's a new pipeline to fire gas generators here, or bring new transmission line in hydro, that's going to go in the delivery charge. Those rates are going to start creeping up because they're guaranteed a 9% return. Eversource just submitted, I know you're not Eversource, but Eversource just asked for a 7% increase on their bills. So.
And don't forget who's on the board members of the DPU. Members of Eversource and National Grid. Or previous members of Eversource. They do incorporate some of the actual. So, all I'm saying is they're politically connected. So when they ask 3 years in a row and get said no, then they usually get it a couple years in a row, yes. So the uptick, I'm only saying from what I'm hearing also in my office in Worcester, they're not going to be surprised if the state gives them another approval to raise their rates. Especially if we have a cold winter, because then they're going to say all the fuel that creates electricity is also being spent to heat homes.
Which takes priority over electrical generation.
That's what I'm hearing. It doesn't, I just wanted to put it out there. That's what I'm hearing. The big thing I would really be most concerned about this is, one, whatever rate we get is fixed no matter what the condition of the system is. So if they put in a system, an inverter fails, and it takes them 2 months to get the inverter replaced because they're having issues with the manufacturer, that doesn't change our rate.
Well, actually, you don't have to worry about that. You know why? We only charge you for what the system produces. If the system's down, the system's not producing, we can't charge it. So for that, you're right. Because
What were we getting charged for anyways?
Yeah, that's where I got confused. What are you charging us for? I thought you were giving us a discounted rate.
we'll give you a PPA rate. The contract language is 12 cents, which is a discount off your 13.73.
Right.
But the contract rate is 12 cents per kilowatt hour.
Right.
Well,
And that's what it means by charging. In other words, he's replacing a charge with a new charge.
Right.
Okay.
right. Just like you do today, you have the bill over there that now you're sending National Grid some money, you're getting a $6,000 credit, and then paying that out of another account from the Meeting credits. Same thing here. Your National Grid bill is going to go down quite a bit, and instead of paying National paying National Grid $10,000, you're going to pay them $4,000, and you're going to pay us $5,000, which is $1,000 savings. Just making rough numbers. So, and we only charge you for the kilowatt hours we produce. So if the system's down, or in the winter when we produce less, we're going to charge you less. In the summer, we're going to charge you more. But again, we're offsetting more of the bill. So
But we could pay National Grid.
Right, then we have no savings, right?
right.
And no savings.
Say again?
Then we'd have no savings.
Well, but it balance again. Everything we always look at solar on an annual basis because you have to. So in the summer, for example, the split will be $2,000 for National Grid, $7,000 for us. In the wintertime, it will be $3,000 for us, $6,000 for National Grid. Still $9,000 instead of $10,000 today. I'm making rough numbers.
The bigger concern I see here is we're looking at a very minor benefit. even that 12% is only
No.
based on what he produces on your overall usage.
Right.
So that idea of that usage that I was seeing, you came up with a,
No, but it
I
doesn't.
think a number
no,
that
it
says
is.
it's almost
It is.
about 500 or 550 a month benefit to the town.
On average, yes.
On average?
Yes.
So if it's 550 bucks a month, but now we've got to consider another thing. We've got a second invoice to process. Say what you want, but it doesn't just happen without somebody spending time that's getting paid to do something that they were doing something else before. And our invoicing means it comes in, I'm sure Shannon gets to see it, but then she's got to send it up, then the treasurer sees it, then the accountant sees it or whatever, and then it, so by the time we factor in the cost to pay that bill, we're not making $550 a month. We might be making $400 a month because everybody now has to set their eyes on review, sign off, pass forward, make sure they manage it. So I'm just, it adds up though. It sounds high, but it ends up not being nearly as high as, because it never works.
The number you came up with is if they replace 100% of our electricity, which they're not.
No. The
No,
numbers
no.
are based upon what we can produce.
So I'm confused now, I think.
Sure.
Well, just so much now, I don't know where I am. But, so our electric bill, no matter what we use, is gonna be 12 cents a kilowatt hour, or no?
Just what
Only
they
what we
provide.
Of what we make in that month, you're gonna pay us 12 cents, whatever else the facility
We
uses.
pay them their
You pay the
regular
National Grid the regular 13.73.
Okay.
So is this gonna produce 32,000 kilowatts a month for us, or is it megawatts?
No, it's on average about 20,000, so we'll produce more in the summer and then.
Okay,
So we're gonna get about,
so 20,000. That makes sense. That makes a big difference.
all you gotta do is take 20,000
Yeah.
times 1%.
That was my only point.
Yeah. And actually, to that point, this system's generating $1,000 of credit right now. It's not gonna generate $1,000 credit in January,
Right.
you know, so keeping that.
Now, what is the actual layout on the space?
So we have two options that we're talking about. There's an option one, right? Basically, the
Not really worth it.
quick number to look at is the number at the top, 208, let's see. I'm just trying to say what this
Can I say 35?
So now, based on 20,000, if you think average a month, you know, we're gonna save $3,400 $3,460 a year.
It's probably, let me look at the ship numbers. It's probably just more than 20,000. I was just doing that from memory.
Yeah. Oh,
It's still a good conservative effort from our view of it.
It's
Right.
it's a positive number, and it's positive for the town, but we have to look at what we're doing to get that money. To get $300 a month, we're gonna lease out how many acres of land, or, you know, that's access to the land, right away to the land. I don't think we haven't utilized it in so long, we probably never will, but you never know.
Well,
Some of the things we
I think once we look at the map, I think it's a little bit different than we originally thought it was too.
It's not a lot of benefit. I wouldn't tie up my field for $300 a month. I wouldn't do it.
By the way, the production's actually more like 277 a year, so I guess it's more like, what's 277 divided by 12? Or 272?
22.
22, so
22
22,000.
and a half.
A little bit more than that.
So we're at 10%.
Yeah, so I have two designs here. There's one, so we were originally talking behind the water treatment center, but again, very heavily wooded, and it appears that there's wetlands over there. We have not spent the money to send a botanist out. That'll be our next step, to have them mark wetlands. We're prepared and ready to do that. So what we did is we actually moved it along the access road to, and I'll pass these out. There's one that says 208 on it. Can you pass those around? And then there's one that says 216 on it. Pass those around. The ground mount portion is the same. One is just using the ground, and I have the big ones here. So the ground mount portion along the road is the same. I think, Jason, last time we spoke, there's that one bottom array on the dirt road there. We'll probably relocate to the opposite side of the salt shed.
Right. Yep.
Okay? But that ground mount portion is basically staying static. The part along the road, which again, is not really, it's not really utilized today, and
That's
not
not-
utilizable.
No, that's not really any useful space.
Okay? So design, let's start with the 216 one. The 216 design has us putting some panels over by the original location behind the water treatment center. Again, that's pending whether we can actually get, based upon where the extent of that wetland is and what we can get approved for that.
And Frank, just correct me if I'm wrong, when we do all the work out there, if we do decide that, there is not wetlands there, we could do more out there.
Correct. Correct.
And do less out here.
Correct.
Maybe just a one row along the hillside.
Correct, yeah.
It all depends on,
Right. I mean, we're about 80% of your power. So we could go a little bit more, but we don't want to go that much more. So we're almost right at the sweet spot of what you guys use compared to what we can produce. We're kind of at that sweet spot. Give or take 5-10%.
my personal feeling is I'm comfortable with the designs. I'm just not comfortable with all the space getting taken up for $3,400 a year. That's my only discomfort.
It's a great valid point.
The second design, I apologize, the big ones we printed out too, the same thing, I apologize about that.
I was gonna say, no.
Yeah. The second design, which is the 208 design, and you see it on the small version, is we eliminated the piece behind the water treatment center, and we used the roof over here. And then we could do maybe a hybrid approach. Roof, road, and maybe a couple trays out by the water treatment. So we're kind of,
Like I said, the designs, I think, I don't think it's an inconvenience our space, very much at all.
and I know that was one of the main goals tonight, was to make sure to get buy-in. Does anyone have any geographic concerns, pending wetlands, pending this? I mean, I think using half this roof is a great thing. One, I think it's a little bit lower cost, so we can get the rate a little bit better. And then using by the road, look behind the salt shed, and then again, depending on the wetlands, using some land over there.
I think that's the biggest thing tonight, is hoping to get the board's opinion on if you guys are okay with either one of these options, so we can move forward with the,
What is the parcel technically split between the two properties?
it's not,
And how does this net metering facility does identify 1 meter per one parcel?
So net metering, you're allowed to net meter on one solar facility per parcel.
And a parcel is just
20.
defined by?
The town books.
Right.
Whatever they are.
So this is
one, this building and water treatment is one
It's
parcel.
one parcel.
I wish
Right.
it was two.
So that's why I'm confused why with the existing one on the roof that we own, how you can come in on the same parcel.
Because I'm not doing net metering on that
There's
one.
no net metering.
We're not doing net metering. And because we're producing less than you're gonna use, it's not an
Specific
issue.
just to the net metering.
Right. Say I put a 500,000 on the ground, then we'd have to worry about it, but since we're not, that's why I'm saying we're kind of right at that sweet spot. It's not gonna, net metering really isn't gonna be relevant because you use 338,000, we're gonna produce 277.
This is the wrong way.
It's not gonna do it.
Second question I have is regarding code, putting two separate systems on this building where one is back sourced from over there. Have you ever crossed that before? Do you know what you're getting into when it comes to fire department, electrical?
We've done that
and what
before.
you gotta do for
We
placards?
might have to add another shut off on the building for it. That'd be
You
the
gotta
good.
replace all the placards on our building so that it says there's a separate system on our roof from the one that we've placard?
We would do whatever's, we always do everything by
I know,
code. Right.
me as an owner, no matter what the code guy says, I would say you will do that
Yeah,
or you will not get the
yeah,
job.
yeah,
So
yeah,
just,
we of course will.
no extra identification is something I would really push.
That's a great
If we want to
point.
move forward is, you gotta completely
Yeah.
relabel our system to say that your system exists.
All
The
this.
site placards more specifically.
So it's the room
Because anybody coming in and going to that disconnect needs to know that it doesn't shut off the whole building.
Otherwise, they can.
Well, it's just the building doesn't do it, you're right.
You're following what I mean? So the building's still energized is all I meant, somehow.
Your array on the roof is still energized.
Actually, Matt, the code says you have to do
So
both.
the only thing is.
They're separate systems.
Move that.
They both have to be
over
black
here.
on my
That's not an
code.
issue.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
Right, so.
But he's saying even a step further, because by code, we need one we need one at the water treatment
Yeah.
center for that array.
Yeah.
But his concern, we probably need another one thrown on the side of the building just
Yes,
for
you
this
do.
portion
It's
of that
separate.
array.
It's a split.
Why can't we?
Right, because if we shut National Grid off and we shut off
Yep.
our rooftop here,
Yep.
someone goes on that roof and hits your side, it's like, oh, I didn't know it was there, and now there's a liability at the time,
Because
never
the
wants to see
service is
again.
maxed out. Oh, we could. Yeah, we definitely could. But there's no net metering for it, so we'll be back.
How are you planning on connecting the system back to the old building? What's your plans for electrical
Because
feed?
we already.
Conduit,
maxed
poles,
out.
trenching,
There's no
trenching.
net metering, there's none left. No other thing left. The only place would be used. So again, do you guys have any issues with the layouts or see anything?
One issue, Jay.
What did you say about moving that one, Jay?
That one panel, Frank and I had already talked about that one section.
Tray, it's one tray, yeah, one tray,
yeah, one
which is like
tray.
24 panels, but
Right,
yeah, that's
right.
called a tray.
So, you know,
Or table, sorry, that's called a table. It's called a table.
that one table that's there, you know, we can move that down here next to the salt shed down
That's a
there.
dead area.
No,
It's like a crap store. isn't it?
exactly.
How does this work with the coordination with the generator over there?
We work with generators all the time, we do the right, whatever we need to do.
I just didn't know if you know.
We hook in, we have a generator package, depending where we hook the array in, we do what we need to do.
Like
So,
if you're doing a
whether it's a line side tap
or-
versus a breaker versus, yeah, our guys.
The line
by
side
code,
tap will deceive the solar system and it's still seeing National Grid power possibly.
Check is probably not an issue.
That's my concern.
We do whatever's by
I'm just
code, right?
curious that you realize it's there, and
Yep,
something you were
yep,
planning on
yep, we got-
addressing, not
yep,
telling
we
us.
do generators all the
The
time.
generator is gonna cost more.
Yep,
It's like, well,
and that's put in our costing model, so we,
Right.
yeah.
But I will take
A note on that anyway,
Right.
just to triple check.
right, that's all.
Well,
That's why we bring our electricians out here to look through everything. We've done, we'll probably do it one more time, but yep.
And it was in the last year we got that generator.
right, and that is like, you were coming down.
That's a, well, that's a new one. There was one there already.
Oh, there was one already, okay.
So that's
So
the
never
slow
mind.
down there.
Frank, what's the average, what would you say the average monthly savings was on this building, just the system?
No, you're right.
Well, this July was probably about $1,000 on credit, so it offset whatever the bill was originally, plus generating about $1,000 in credit.
We'd have to look
So we would talk about how to allocate
So
that.
I don't know.
I don't know how you plan it.
What type of access do we give them?
I'm not worried about
Obviously, that is-
Seven,
There is a
for
bill.
equipment.
You know, $1,000 an hour,
Just one panel, like-
a couple hundred bucks.
They're gonna have to maintain it, they gotta come in and mow.
And I'd say.
I think this
They're
first
gonna
piece
mow,
we probably could
they're right in the contract, Monday through Friday thing, you can't bring your crew in on the
Supposedly
weekend.
too close, right, Frank?
We're not gonna be around.
Across the street,
This thing's
across
to
the
consider.
driveway, we're too close to the property line.
Yeah, see the property line there, you
See
got,
that
you got
dotted line, Bill?
Yeah, and we had the distances from all these residences, and you're limited by, you gotta be 50 feet off the line. If you look down here, all these comments down here is all the
There is-
town of zoning, town of Berry zoning rules.
There is a possibility of a variance on, right, for stuff like that, if we decided to move forward and we said,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah, I mean-
look into it. At least we have a plan in place, but that's
Right.
something that's possible.
Right, I think this design is pretty minimal variances, might need one or so, especially, this one we might need over here, because we're a little close.
Well, I'm talking if we did decide to do the row here and the row on the other side of the road.
So I see what
That's,
you're saying.
yeah, that's possible. You know, we could do, yeah, you would need to get a variance for that.
Yeah.
You know, you might have to know some town government,
We might know people.
might know people.
You know Sam?
All right there.
I'll tell you how it works.
Sam?
And then the real question is the abutters. I mean, obviously, they would, you know, whatever they want.
I can guess.
There are processes.
There are worse neighbors to have than a solar array, you know, fenced off, very quiet.
Well, especially when they still have all the woods buffered.
Correct.
How, we're gonna put a fence around all this.
It's on the map. See all this line right here? That's the fence line. This line right here with the circles on, that's the fence.
Using it, what's that?
Fence line with the circle.
Yes, we do. You're 100% correct.
Oh, yeah. Fence line with the circle.
Goes right up.
Circle.
The lines with the circles and the fence.
Yes, that's fence.
What about the circles up here?
You can't see the
Yes.
circles there.
They're here.
Yeah.
No.
That's not a handicap.
There's circles.
No, I can see it, but.
Well,
No, that's not.
No.
that's not-
Oh, yeah, they're here. See it right?
Yeah, I see it right here.
Right here?
Yeah.
The fence is gonna be
These
tucked
are
back,
right?
you know, along the base of the bank, because that one tray is not.
Won't be there.
Right.
One table.
Around the building on the other
Table.
side.
No problem. I forgot my verbiage too.
I have a problem with the legal ramifications of having two individual systems on the same piece of property. One that we own, one we're leasing.
Okay.
Is there a legal?
You had, I thought you said you had a problem with it.
Yeah.
There should be no legal ramifications of that. And one is, I mean, this one is basically just part of the building now and owned by you guys. The other one is owned by us, and this is what we passed at town meeting. We need an easement to grant us access so we can come and do maintenance and make sure the system's operating. So,
Hey, I look at it though, the fence goes right up to the salt shed?
yeah, it hugs the back side.
Yeah, right around it.
What are you expecting for a minimum distance between fence and the salt shed? Because we don't have to
That one looks pretty
deal with
close
you
right
to
there.
remove the fence if we've got to deal with the back wall of the salt shed sometime in the
Well,
next 20
you can
years.
you can attach the salt shed, right? So the fence, the salt shed is considered part of the fence? Oh, no?
Again, these are, what do they say, not to scale, these are our preliminary schematic, you know, we do full CAD drawings before anything gets built, and that's when we start, once we're contracted, that's when we start spending the real dollars.
The,
Details would be more involved in
Look at the
that.
roof.
16.
It should be 208 and 216, the same except for the roof versus the
I got a big one in front of me. I got a big one right in front of me. So you're saying you could post right against the salt shed, just let the salt shed be the divider.
Well, plus that fence isn't gonna be there, because that one table,
Right, well, it would probably be like this, you know, come out from here.
right, it goes straight along the base of the bank, right?
So I think we would actually build a fence that would be a
Yeah,
a
whatever.
foot away from the salt shed, curve along it, and then carry on straight over there.
Salt shed roll up. I want the back wall on.
Oh,
Gonna make 20 years?
Is this the only area where you're looking at potentially removing trees? Or do you have any trees over here we gotta look at?
There's no trees over there.
So it'd only be here?
Yes. Please don't plant new trees there. You don't plant a new tree here.
Well, I mean, that's something we'd have to look at. Because it's, that, yeah, that,
What tree?
you know, trees. So it's just,
Well, I like the idea of trying to push the road closest to the shed across the street and get an easement. And my other concern is obviously, other than the layout looks good, it would be the back of the salt shed. If it hasn't been touched or maintained in so long, and it's got 20 years to go, that might be something done prior to this work.
it's concrete wall,
salt shed wall is?
How far?
4 or 5 feet out.
yeah, 5 feet concrete wall.
So probably we could get access still. So it's in good shape,
Yeah.
we can repair work to it.
Shouldn't have to-
That's the only thing I think. Trying to think of things you might want to think of.
The roof is
before.
in now.
This is the time to do it.
Once again, the roof you can repair anytime, fence or no fence. It's just a little bit of the part you have to access on the fence, the fence and foot off.
I see you putting, I see gate access locations on the fence could be figured out in design.
Yeah,
really.
like you said, this is
Just a general
You
idea.
gotta gain access.
Work the details when the time comes. Would it be,
We've iterated this quite a few times, so we're keep.
would it be daisy chain lock? City locks and your locks on that chain? I know you
I know
own
we
it,
would have to want our
but
own locks.
some form of, we both have access if the situation warrants it.
If the situation.
Otherwise, we're just cutting the lock off anyway.
Right, I think,
But
I think,
I'm
if-
just-
I think if we could come up with a legitimate reason, yes, otherwise, yeah, worst case scenario, you clip it.
Now,
I mean,
what
that,
about maintaining the land, mowing the grass, stuff like that, weeds around the
No,
town?
they do
so
it.
we'll take care of
You
that.
guys do all that? Okay.
And we'll probably gravel it or something of that nature, so.
Matt, just for your question, the other solar arrays, we required a Knox box for the fire department. So
You did?
we could
Okay.
access it. The other two plants have Knox boxes.
Okay,
The daisy
Something
chain
similar to that,
works well.
makes sense.
If again, that's for the fire department, not for DPW. That's for fire department, not DPW.
That's for the
I
emergency
came from the fire
response.
station.
Right, you know, but I'm just clarifying.
Yeah.
It works.
Yes. Try to put yours back in and leave, that's all.
Okay, at this point, what do we need? To go forward or not?
I guess if you guys okay with the use of the land, it's gonna be ultimately up to the sewer commissioners, if, you know, financially, if they decide that they're happy with it or not happy with it, so. You know, basically, we just need to make sure, because we're talking about using the roof and, you know, the strips behind the salt shed, just to make sure everybody's okay with the use of the property.
And possibly behind the water trees,
Right,
pending water, wetland.
wetlands and stuff.
Wetland.
What about the selectmen in the house? Where they're members of the DPW, we don't have to have a separate approval by the selectmen, do we?
No.
I don't know. Can we find out?
I don't see why we wouldn't.
I'd like to know. For sure.
It's
We
still-
might,
It's still use of town.
Just because
still use of
it's town property and it's a
Yeah.
contract
And it's
between
a
the town, even though
I
it's
would
the
think-
sewer commission
I would
that's
think
making the
it'd have to come to
recommendation.
the
and-
board.
Yeah.
But I think the board, I would be inclined to do whatever you guys wish with it, as long as my concerns are heard here and I'm expressing it. Is this $300 a month worth the potential loss of use of the properties? That's a caution to think about that strongly. Otherwise, I have no concerns on
And just to clarify, it's more like 400 to 500.
it. Not from what we're.
Well, that was the old number, that was, I gave the number a little bit lower on the production, once we upped the production, so I think it's more like 400.
The number, when you upped us to 22, it brought us to just about 4,000 a year, which is still tomato, tomato. It's a small number, figure-wise. But that's not, I won't cast a vote to deter it. I'm just telling you what I see. This is you guys' decision for, my opinion for everything for the select board is the departments running the departments. Department heads hire and fire the personnel, and Edwin operates how they should in their own. It's certainly here for bylaws and rules and things of that nature. I'm not to meddle in this, but I like to sit in and if I have an opinion, express it. I'm not going to interfere in any way with what you guys want to do.
Well, that's why I think we should decide tonight, by vote, whether we should continue at all.
And like I said, that's
'Cause you-
up to you guys.
No, it's up to the whole board. 9 members here. That's the reason I'm concerned.
Just remember this,
I won't-
whatever we end up doing with them in the contract ends up being what gets presented to the planning board. If you want something involved in this contract clearly stated, you gotta do that before it gets to the planning board, not after it makes it to the planning board. So this is where we've gotta look at it and really work out the design schedule, because all of that kind of has to work itself out before I would ask them to go to the planning board. It's like, we want to know exactly the rate you're going to give us, not a range that could change in 6 months. So the design schedule, the input we're allowed, because when they write the contract and sign it, whatever assumptions are on the board in that contract is what you got to live with. And if later you say, well, I think I want you to do this extra, all of a sudden they sit back and revise their number, and it might be right that they do it. But I'm just throwing that out as, there's a process, and what type of process do you normally do? Do you do like a 75% design with discussion, 100% design that finalizes everything and all the details before we execute the contract? Or do you do all that after the contract? And then if that's the case, we need to know what we need to know before we sign the contract. And some of that doesn't show up till you get to the design.
Very fair point. So there's two ways we usually do this. One is we negotiate what's called a PPA contract. And what we've done, just to make sure everyone's at ease with this, is we actually won the RFP with the organization called Power Options at the state level. So that's why legally you don't have to run an RFP for this. Just to clarify that, we can provide documentation and
State thing.
Right, state.
yeah. So that's why we can have this. We are at a very tight time frame right now. The SREC program is sunsetting March 31st. It may get extended out, but then depending on when the next program is, but we have to work at the March 31st deadline being done for it to make our investors happy. So normally we negotiate the PPA, or we go through the PPA contract, which is good, pre-negotiated, pretty set in stone. Again, Power Options sits on your side of the table, and they negotiate the contract on yours and the other members' behalf. So that's what we normally do. That can take some cycles. In a case like this, because time is of the essence, often what we'll do is we'll sign what's called an LOI, letter of intent. That means we start spending money, botanist, design, engineering, stamp drawings, and that's to get everything submitted to utility. We need to get stuff submitted to utility, and in parallel, planning board, conservation commission. We can't. This drawing is not satisfactory for those committees. We need higher level designs for that. We need geotechnical.
To that end, it's so far not satisfactory for us, because that panel can't be there, that array.
100% agree. Yeah.
I'm saying, so we're trying to talk about voting and approving tonight, when in fact, as Matt's trying to point out, we're agreeing to it tonight, but that panel's not what we wanted, and we're hoping to move these across the street and have an easement, which would be, talk to the planning board and the butters quickly.
Right.
But without those changes, it's, that one's another.
Yeah, we agreed on that.
But it's still here, and that's my,
Right.
things like that, I think what Matt's trying to say, part of it.
Yeah.
As far as also finalizing the cost to us, to buy it from you and such. Everyone,
You used the same sales tax last time we did this. What time is it? You say March.
that's
What,
every
and-
salesman's
and-
tactic.
Yeah,
Just ignore that.
that's what he did when we did the roof. We gotta get going.
Because-
Now,
Have you
he
never
comes-
bought a new
He
car?
comes here
Why,
in the
tell you,
middle of September, and we gotta have it to be online for March.
I tell you
I
now,
appreciate you
I
keeping me
talked to the
honest.
boss, I can get you this price today, I can't guarantee that price tomorrow, so if you don't sign
But
now.
don't talk to me. Go talk to Matt Beaton.
Yeah,
DOER, they're setting the deadlines.
You're like
I'm not
putting
setting
a
the
gun to
deadlines.
our head.
We've been talking about this for months, so
Yeah, but you wait until 5 months?
Now, what is the March deadline? The SREC?
March 31st is the end of the SREC program.
Okay.
And that may get bumped, it's March 31st or whenever SMART starts, but
March starts March 1st.
no, SMART. When, did I say March? When I said SMART, go to the tape. When the SMART program, Solar Mass Renewable Target.
So what are you looking for to vote on specifically tonight?
If we want to follow through on
Do we
it.
want to
If we wanna-
continue?
Continue or just cut
Because
it, I
if we're
guess?
wasting,
If you guys aren't happy with it on this property, like these,
The one we said no is the one, the other ones, if you can move them, great, but I would say you guys.
Which one did you say?
Should have a more detailed discussion about the use of the land.
So just to clarify,
Possible future uses, and then one.
the table that is on
Right there, that one right.
the west side,
That one
the
is staying
standalone
right
table, it's on the dirt,
Right,
the
right.
tan dirt path, right closest to the
one
roof.
Where the vehicles are stored, yeah.
That one will be moved, relocated to the opposite side.
And possibly relocate those across the street would be a.
What, are you gonna be in front of those panels?
Yeah, somewhere in this area.
The wish list is to push them all across the street. and get an easement.
well, they wouldn't be able to all go over there.
You couldn't-
But you're talking about the second row.
Just a second, yeah, no, not all,
Yeah.
just that block.
Like that.
This block, yeah, this
Like,
block.
all of those go first, like that.
That's zoning board of appeals, right? Not me.
So if we put them across the street, we don't have to put them on the
If you
road.
want to support, if you guys want to support that, I'm fine with
Still
it.
has to notify the abutters who
Yeah.
want to do it, because they have the right to come to the zoning meeting on it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the zoning, it's gonna be a variance because we're being non-conforming to the
You
law.
have a lot, enough room there, there's a wetland.
Where's the wetlands?
Right across the
Gully
street from.
right down in the back there.
I don't think the benefits
Right.
You know, then where some,
South.
and the wetlands
This
have
thing,
100
this
feet.
kind of impression in the tree
Right-
line.
right
right
down
there.
there.
This guy's been here beating us to death.
Well,
We know who's gonna make the profit.
I don't believe that that showed up on our
That's why
GIS
he's here
maps.
beating us.
So,
There's a drain there.
you never quite, well, but you never quite know until, everything, we have to, you never quite know what you're doing. I mean, we might, it's more about, the plants than anything else. We can find a plant next to the salt shed.
Everybody's talking at the same
You know, you
time.
could-
Hold off, hold off.
I know, because I cleared all the table.
Charlie,
You want a
were saying-
motion still, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm ready if you want.
Does anybody have any further questions before we
Full
vote?
concerns.
One last question. They get to a point where they have an agreement with you on the contract. Up until the point you get through all the planning boards and commissions and everybody that tells you the last thing you have to do is build. And then if you hit a point where you have to back out, we, the customer, will not owe you a dime?
So, great point. So, this is what we do with the LOI. If we go through everything and we back out because the project isn't viable, then it's on us. If we go through all this and at the end you're like, we don't want to do it, then those costs that we've incurred, real hard costs, engineering designs and stuff like that, between $5,000 and $10,000, then that would be on you.
How much, Frank?
Between 5 and 10.
At this point, it's...
No.
No, not now. But like, if we go through all the submissions to the utilities, do all the work and all the designs and everything, and then at the end say, yeah, we really don't feel like it.
If we say no now, what
No.
what are our questions?
Nothing.
Okay, that's what I'm... Johnny, I have one more question.
In other words, you just want to be confident at the time you sign the contract that you're not going to back out just to change your mind.
Right.
We spend $1,000 doing stamped electrical one lines. We spend all the regulatory work with the utilities. We get botanists out here to the wetlands. We have the official drawings for the planning boards. We do all, which is real money. We don't feel like doing it. That's fine, but that's going to cost you.
Right.
Which is,
Jay?
What's the difference between what we're saving a year and what you're making a year?
He ain't gonna tell you. He's not gonna tell you.
Trade secret.
Yeah.
it's the golden rule. Whoever's gold is at work. Whoever's capital is at work.
He's also
It's gonna
not
make a
going to
return on
tell you
investment.
that they, as a company, get incentives from the state.
There's a reason he's
But they-
pushing
All right.
this.
And we're getting the same incentives that you guys are getting on your array.
I'm sick of talking about it. For $3,500 a year, I say we cap it right now, say that. Done.
A motion, Charlie.
Okay, may not work, but I'll try it. Make a motion that the DPW Commission vote to recommend to the Sewer Commission that the solar projects as outlined here move forward in concept at this point, because we don't have proposals, and that we just be kept updated as to the status of the design work as it progresses. I think that might be all you need right now, right?
But that's still committing us to this.
No, it just says in concept, so.
That just means, John, when we vote, we can vote yes or no.
Right.
We just got their support.
Okay,
Yeah, but we can't
Whichever
really
way
vote
we-
on anything, because we really don't have anything to
Right.
vote on right now. But
Okay.
conceptually, we take suggestion you move forward.
okay.
So our next step will come back with an LOI to the SOAR Commission, and then with the hard economics there, and then the SOAR Commissions can make the decision whether it's economically the right thing or not.
Okay, could I have a second on Charlie's motion, please?
I'd submit an opposing motion
I just,
that we counteroffer that we would accept this deal for 9 cents a kilowatt.
well, that was my question. They've got to submit
Second.
the
Motion
LOI or
and a second.
whatever.
There's a motion on the floor right now.
Right, and I just have a question
Can I
for discussion,
respond to
because
that?
I'm not
You want
quite
me to
sure how to
respond to that
respond to the
beforehand or not?
motion.
Yeah, why don't you-
We'll have discussion.
Just on Charlie's motion, he had made the reference to just keep us updated as the sewer commission goes about the process. Does that mean before anybody from the town is willing to sign something, we all get a look at the contract we would sign so we have input? We don't have to do it even at a meeting. You just email it out, and if I got something, I'll email it back, and Shannon then can just share it with the sewer commission. Take it for what you want. But just gives us all another set of eyes to look at it, throw in some 2 cents in case we see contracts differently. You can take it all and continue, but at least we get a chance to look at whatever they submitted and we can say, you know, I've walked this path and my thought is you might want to change this paragraph, or you might say, oh, we know how to handle that and step back now, don't worry. That's fine, I just,
People are looking at return on investment or returning our asset, loaning it out, and the return on the asset of 300, 400 a month is not tempting. If we can bump that up, if they can come in 9, 10 cents a kilowatt, come back with a different offer, maybe it would be.
At 9 cents,
That's fine.
based on the 22,000 average kilowatt hours a month, or average for the year, that's $10,400 a year. Let's say.
Just again, because with the way we won the RFP, at the state contract level power options, our normal rate for a system of this size, rooftop, is 9.8.
Perfect.
So
So there should be no reason, you can do half rooftop, half ground. You guys getting?
ground has costs associated with it.
You want it, you don't. That's-
We go through, we work with power options, and they have to vet it on those adders.
Right.
So, because again, there's ground preparation, there's fencing, there's other things going on.
Yeah.
That's why I'd love to give the 9.8 cent rate. We just can't. But again, again, normally, if this is a rooftop, we wouldn't have any discussions around economics.
If you don't think you can get down on that, then my recommendation to the board is,
Or
for
reasonably even
$3,400 a month, it's not worth utilizing our property.
Make a motion.
Even 10 cents.
I can't make a
Usually. I would modify my motion to say, allow them to make a counter offer, come back and decide.
we got another motion on the.
Which again,
Nobody
just
seconded
that is our.
Nobody seconded
Nobody
it.
seconded Charlie's motion.
So my understanding, one of the things, the discussion we had with the SOAR Commission was, economics is still not quite there in your mind, I understand that. One of the reasons for coming here tonight was making sure that there was no objections to using the land as laid out.
It was not.
Okay, so that's what I understand how you have to have your process as
It's
well.
return for
So,
the-
and we're still, and we've got to go back and look at this and really get into it and say, okay, what can we do this on for, based upon component costs in the marketplace, the incentive levels, timelines, our risk. We have risk. Are we going to hit March 31st date? We need buy-in and support from this committee to go to planning board and conservation commission, whatever we need to do. We do need.
And the number we'll look at is just gonna be the bottom line rate. It's
Understood.
not gonna be your future plans for National Grid or projections, what they may or may not raise the rates to for us in the future. We just need the bottom number. I think Jason is.
Well, I can tell you, the sewer commission as chairman feel the same way, even though, Joe, you feel the same way?
What's that? To get the best?
We're not getting enough money.
No. For what we're giving up, for what we're gonna get, my opinion is it's a bad deal.
So Joe's a member of the sewer commission, Matt is not here, but I know, speaking for him, he feels the same way. Now, we have a second on Charlie's motion.
I would still second that, Charlie's motion.
Charlie's motion, okay?
And it allows you the opportunity to pursue the questions they raise on the rate. But before we go into any contract, which means before you go to the planning board officially, now informally, maybe you get some feelers so you know what you're going against, that's your own thing. Because until we sign the contract, we're just pursuing more of the questions. One question I do have, but I'll just get to that.
Let's
We
vote.
seconded it, so I'll do the
Let's
vote
vote
and then
on
I'll
it.
ask the other
Let's
question.
vote on this.
Specifics.
I got one question before we move on. Now, you indicated that you would present designs to the planning board, conservation, whoever else within the town, and that would be your expense, but if the town decided to not pursue it, then we would incur the cost. I understand that.
If we sign a letter. of
Yeah, well,
intent.
let me finish. There's a point
Separate
here.
from the boards that have
What?
jurisdiction.
What if, do you consider, like, if the planning board were to turn this project down, is that considered the town in this case? No, okay.
That's the
You
approval
follow-
process. I do understand what you're saying. Don't put your thumb on the scale, please, but
Okay.
so,
Good point.
we want to invest. I mean, we're willing to put our capital to work, but we want to make sure it's a good deal for everyone. And this is a good solar project. It was great a year and a half ago when we first started meeting because the incentives were a lot better and we could offer you a better rate. If this meter was all kilowatt hours, you're paying 17, 18 cents over there like you do on this building, this would be a fantastic job. And again, it's just kind of where we're at right now.
I agree.
Yeah,
So-
I understand.
Okay,
That's where we're at.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Okay.
That's it.
So,
That
I would
was,
re-
we decided to stop moving on this particular.
I would restate my motion
recommendation.
that I would like to ask them to come back with a different figure and hopefully someplace around 9 or 10 cents, something that makes it more beneficial to us to give the land up. So I'd like to make a motion to ask respectfully that they come back with a better offer.
Second.
The only question I have on that is your state contract or whatever on that RFP that you were, what is that contract number? Where can we get a copy of it?
It's not state contract, it was our Power Options run a statewide RFP that we won, and we can get you letters to talk to that. That satisfies the RFP requirement.
But how they determine their pay rate, you just said certain rates were rooftop versus ground or
So,
base.
in the,
How is that set up?
I can get you information on that. So we have pre-negotiated, what we want with the RFP was, we have contract rates for system size, 25 to 75 kilowatts, 75 to 150, and 150 to 300. That is our contracted rates with Power Options. So if you had different size buildings like a school or other thing, well, other things, those are, and we do that for all, because Power Options has all nonprofit members, schools, hospitals, towns, YMCA's, they're all these set rates. Now, if, for example, I'm working on a nonprofit housing project, we have to hire a crane. We have to rent a crane because it's an extra tall building. There's a cost associated with that we work with Power Options to, okay, well maybe it's 0.1 cent more or whatever it works out to be. So for when other costs associated, and when we look at every ground now, rooftops are very plain vanilla, they're very similar. Ground is no different. Like for example, if we do everything over here, it's one cost for fence. If we do it on both sides, that might be more cost fence because now we have to take almost double the amount of fence. So and again, until we actually get into it, and we reviewed everything back in June when we were down, I think, in this area, and that's where we came up with the 12 cents. That was before then we revisited, okay, the roof, and different commissions have been tough to get on the schedule. So basically, yes, I'm ready to sharpen the pencil and go back and look, okay, what other, now we put the roof in play, that would have been 98 cents. Actually, it would have been like, 14 cents if it was just a standalone because it's a small system. But when we tie it all together, okay, where can we be? And I can't get to, I know I can't get 9. And 10 would be also possible too, because 9, 8, we gotta work at whatever.
If that's the case, 9 or 10, at 9 cents, you're at $10,000 per year. I think for less than $10,000 per year, it's not worth it. The board should squash it right now. Done, enough of this nonsense going back and forth. Both Frank and I have been talking for 8 months. Like it's
Okay, Greg's motion says 10 cents.
Come back close to 10 cents.
You want me to come back one more time with the price, or do you want,
That's my motion. And it's up to the board to say yes or no.
Okay,
Jason
you
says no.
second
I
it.
second, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion that's made
So
and
what's the
seconded.
motion now?
To see if they can come back closer to 10 cents, which would give us more in the neighborhood of $8,000 a
Okay,
year.
that's one reason I wanted to do it in conceptually, and maybe, who knows what it would come back as. But yeah, that's fine.
All in favor?
I-
Opposed? Passed.
so is that language closer to 10 cents?
Closer you get to 10, see what we get. If we
In other
get-
words, it's come up with your best number and come back to us. If it doesn't meet 10, they're probably gonna say
He
thank
wants
you.
10 grand, if it comes back with,
But that's just it.
But yeah, the wording was close to 10.
What we're gonna do is he's gonna come back at 11.9.
Well, then
We're wasting
that's
our
not
time.
close. Well,
You guys need to come up with a number that you wanna make and say it, and that's it, done. Like, I'm sick of hashing
I
this thing
think we
out.
did that. When the motion says,
you put close to 10 cents.
Close to 10
11.9 is always there. If it's 10.3 or 10.2,
if he goes over,
that's
if he goes to 11.9, then that's it.
No, the point Jason, I believe, is bringing up is in order for him to get 10 cents, he may have to create a whole new layout, which means we spend another 2 hours discussing it, because it's not just here's 10 cents. And that's kind of why Jason's saying, if you're just speaking to 10 cents, it doesn't necessarily mean for the same thing I can give you 10 cents. It might mean I can give you 10 cents, but I gotta move that there, I gotta do that there.
I don't think he's gonna want to.
And I'm just saying,
10 cents. So I think if they don't get close.
as the motion was moved, it kind of was just more specific to the rate, not the rate associated with this specific proposal.
That's exactly the intent. It was more specific to the rate with
Okay.
this proposal. That was the intent of it wasn't to rework anything, just the rate. If they can't then they can't.
Well, at least you know what he's thinking.
Okay? All right, Frank, come back to us by our next meeting? Or sooner if you're...
Email
Right, I'll
us,
see.
mail us, call us.
Smoke signal.
Smoke signals work best.
What, Jason?
Smoke signals work fast.
Go for smoke signal. Yeah, that works.
Okay, thank you, Frank.
Do you want to keep a copy of this?
Yeah.
You pin that right in the wall like
Yeah,
that.
if you wanna leave it,
People can look at it.
The only problem is, it's actually 2 copies of the same one.
That's fine.
We put it out
But
fast.
then if people want to look at it, they can
That's
stop down, look at the wall too. You know what it is. People are gonna have questions. You say, you can say it's a copy of that, or DPW, whatever.
Thanks for coming, Frank.
No problem.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Shane, did you need anything else? You got anything for
I got
records?
copies of everything,
All right.
thank you.
If you need soft copies of that, let me know.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, wage authorization.
This is just Eric Walters. There was an error on the wage authorization form. It was the fiscal year 17 rate, so I just actually need Charlie's signature to do the correction. Fiscal year 18.
Oh, okay, the rate.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good one, Frank.
So we don't need to vote on this, right?
No, because you already actually signed it. It was just a correction to the
Just a
original
signature.
form.
And while we're on the subject, the Assistant Chief Water Operator appointment? Did-
The water commissioners met, did a couple interviews the other night. The decision was made to
Thank you.
hire, offer the job to Dana Stoddard. Just need,
What was
same
his
thing.
previous role?
He works at the wastewater plant right now. He's operator down at the wastewater treatment plant. Dana already has his water licenses for the water job, so we'd like to move up to the water department.
Playing in the muddy stuff.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little change of view, I think.
Smells a little.
Now we'll have to,
I say
we'll have
change
to,
the smell.
we'll have to vote on
That's the next thing after,
Chief.
right. As long as we have, motion from the board saying we can offer the job to Dana Stoddard, then next thing we'll be asking.
Well, the Water Commissioners approved it.
Yes, yep.
You need a DPW approval?
Yeah.
Okay. Have a motion?
Make a motion to approve Dana Stoddard for the Assistant Water Operator's position.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
And the next thing we would like to, this is more just for the sewer, but we'd like to advertise in-house for 10 days, the opening for the wastewater treatment plant.
Well, we can do that in here, Joe. I don't think we need a
Yeah.
special meeting.
No,
Joe and I are here, the majority. Sure.
absolutely. So I just need a motion from you guys to go.
Yeah, I make a motion, we advertise in-house for 10 days to fill the,
Assistant Chief.
assistant,
No, just an operator.
sewer
Water operator.
sewer department, wastewater treatment operator
Operator.
position for
I'm
10
sorry.
days in-house.
Yeah. All in favor? Aye. Okay, Jason, your report?
Got the night paperwork we went over, selected and signed everything. That's it. We submitted the BH 95 paperwork for salt. The price went down this year, like $2.04 per ton, so the new rate for the state contract is $74.83 for District 2A. The other thing we have going on, we met with the bridge inspector for the bridge over Canesto Brook on Route 62 today. There's some things, there was a letter back in May, and we've contacted, Charlie, you're familiar with this stuff. We have contacted since then 3 different engineering firms to try to get the most viable option to do a repair on the bridge, to perhaps get us by until we can prepare funding options to replace the bridge completely, which obviously would be a little ways out. We Haven't really received back anything that we were looking for. We're looking for just a repair. We got one estimate back from Chapel Engineering. Keith had gotten me one, and it was for, I don't have it in front of me, John, I apologize. It was for like 120,000, just for the engineering to say what they recommend we do to repair the bridge.
Not the design work.
No. So, I think the design work's included, but not the repair itself. So the issue with that was, after speaking with the bridge engineer today,
That was just going to be submitted to the state at that point.
that was just gonna be submitted to the state, exactly.
The 120.
The 120,
Okay.
yep. So, after talking to him today, we're gonna talk to the head bridge engineer. He was out of the office today, we're gonna talk to him tomorrow about a couple of less expensive, more reasonable options for what we can do. What the state is recommending right now is that we put up a traffic light there and limit the bridge to one lane. Well, in order for us to do that, we have to rent a temporary traffic light and all that stuff, and I believe that's over $16,000 per month we would pay for that, just for that. And obviously that doesn't do anything as far as repairing or making the situation better. So, we're gonna have more information after we talk to the head bridge engineer tomorrow and see what his thoughts are. There was a couple of ideas we bounced around about perhaps plating that one beam. I have a picture of it's the fifth beam that's really the problem. The edge ones have some issues, but it's number 5 that is the problem on the bridge. So this one here. So on that particular, there's a section missing on, let's see, that would be the east side of the bridge. That's about 13 inches long, 2 inches high, just between the bottom flange and the webbing. So when I originally talked to the engineer, we talked about doing a weld-in-place repair, cutting that section out, welding a piece in, a weldability test to make sure the beam was even able to be welded and all that stuff. Unfortunately, that's the price that came back. Just to engineer that repair was $120,000. And basically comes down to because the state, I'm like, how on earth can it be that much? Keith explains because the state is so, I don't know what the right word is, they're not really easy to deal with. So they have to go back and forth so many times. He has to make sure there's enough money in that to make sure he has the time to do that. So we're gonna talk to like I say, to him tomorrow, Mark tomorrow, and see about the plating, and then we're gonna move forward. If he thinks he likes the plating idea for not necessarily a temporary repair, but a repair that we know isn't gonna last forever while we wait for funding options to replace the bridge.
To replace the whole bridge.
Is that over near the Hubbardston line?
Right by the Hubbardston line, yeah.
The last
Isn't that
one.
a state bridge?
It's not, it's a town-owned bridge on a state road.
If you're on the right road, tell the shut the road down.
Do you need to do engineering?
You can't
Just
shut
put
the road. I use that
just put up
once
a
a
brand
week.
new beam?
I know, but they wouldn't let me shut down the state road, that's my own point.
I'm just curious, if you put a brand new beam that's the same size right next to the one that's failed, would it buy you?
They'd come back and decertify the bridge because they didn't know that it was done correctly.
Whatever's done they're going to inspect it.
They're going to inspect it. So realistically, I agree with you. That was my plan. The bridge inspector obviously doesn't like that.
Temporary concept anyways, we're just buying.
Yeah.
Just the plating idea seems to be the best idea.
The plating idea is the best
Cost
idea.
effective.
As far as that was my other option that I actually mentioned to him, was putting a beam on either side just to support that section. He didn't like it. I don't understand what difference it would make. The good thing is, like he said, there's 11 beams on the bridge. There's one that structurally has an issue, so it's not.
Yes, believe it or
How
not,
often-
that's my.
How often the cars
Better than
really
being next to
passing
it.
each other on that section, the restricted one lane's gonna make any substantial difference? Once a day, maybe?
It's the rating of the road, because it's not just necessarily 2 cars, it could be 2 dump trucks.
No.
Loaded with something that hits it at the same point becomes the issue. I think it just has to happen once, is what they're gonna say. is the
Yeah, they
answer.
look at the worst case scenario.
Absolutely.
They just look at the where the bridge, that's all they do.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
They don't take any consideration into what the bridge is used for, what drives over it. they look at it, that beam's got rot on it.
And but once again, why wouldn't the state bring out the lights and restrict it to one lane instead of road?
They only have 2 lights that are basically in that district, and that's why the highway safety systems know they have you by charging you
Or they
$60,000.
they could sign it and put Jersey Bear in stop signs.
They charge us.
If they could just engineer the darn thing.
They've done it before.
Honestly,
We had lights up that they paid
They want to
for.
restrict it.
They did the one down here, they paid for that.
that's because they were paying to replace the bridge.
Yeah, and what did,
That was their bridge. No,
They're doing Hubbardston
Yeah, but
off
this
of
is-
Williamsville when they did that
Was
bridge
it?
off of the Williamsville Pond. Do you know?
I believe that's a town-owned bridge as well, but that was an
They weren't temporary, they were-
off-system bridge program, so that, those lights were
So
put there
similarly
during the
funded through
replacement.
that program.
And that's the other thing we're looking into with Keith Lincoln and those guys. He was supposed to be trying to see what we had to do to get the bridge on the off-system bridge list.
What does it cost to buy those lights? Because then we'll rent it to all our neighbors.
That's true. That's a good idea. I thought of that actually.
16,000 a
Now,
month or
They probably cost
that bridge
10,000 to
on,
buy.
when we looked, do you recall,
I
that
bet they don't
bridge
cost
on
us
the
close.
tip or not?
I bet they don't cost,
Close.
it's a freaking
Yeah.
timer,
Yeah.
the timer blocks and wires and 2
Get
lights.
on the tip, and then
They're in connected.
we'll cover it.
it's simple enough. What it comes down to
I think
though
there's
is
a lot more
someone's got a
liability.
UL listing that'll cost you an arm and a leg to get.
Yeah, I think it's a liability thing.
It is.
Light messes up and 2 people.
Yeah, the
hit.
light turns green on both sides and you got a problem.
The DPW doesn't need
I
that.
bet it doesn't have it too often.
The town doesn't need that.
So we'll need to get it on the tip, and then it can qualify for the, what is it called, the small town bridge program?
No, it doesn't meet the small bridge qualifications.
Too wide.
It's too large a bridge.
Too long.
So it doesn't get.
It's worth the call to ask them to change the qualifications of the program.
Yeah.
I mean, anything.
You wanna do that, Andrew?
I will.
So it's a good idea you have for
I
yourself.
have a few, yeah, I have a few ideas.
Right, we can have people.
And I was gonna reach out to another engineer that I've worked with on bridge issues that came in at a lower price for a larger bridge. So hopefully we can get this price for engineering now. And I
We
work-
need to approve them as a vendor before we do that.
Yeah,
Well,
we
not
actually,
just to get a quote. We already had
engineering,
one quote and then,
yeah.
are they on? They're not on,
Yes.
Yeah, oh, okay. Oh, we're all set. We're already in.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was like.
Yeah, they submitted a bid for one call.
Maybe,
Nice.
maybe you could get us some grant money too.
Do what I can.
A lot,
A lot
John.
of grandma. Not a
A
little.
lot of money.
A lot of money.
Is we miss a meeting, they're out
get
here
the
in
right
7
people on
minutes,
the
we
table.
show up, look at
It's gonna be
that.
an expensive
Yeah.
bridge.
Hey,
I
that's
know,
all.
huh? I know.
Okay, Jason, go ahead.
So that's pretty much it. So we'll keep you guys posted with the next step. Is it the consensus of the board that we're all in agreement that the town does not have the means or the money to spend $16,000 a month on temporary light that doesn't fix the bridge? So everybody on the
Completely
same.
in agreement.
No. I don't think we have to vote on that. We're all,
I think we'd be more likely, like Ben said, to buy one first and figure out the
I just
logistics
tell
behind
the
that.
state that 62 now ends at the line at Hubbardston.
That's what I told them today.
And then let them figure out how they're gonna reorient all of their intermunicipal traffic.
I mentioned that today.
They didn't- they didn't like it.
Obviously,
I'm
the
not-
state does not want to close Route 62.
And I know you can't do that, because they'll just come back and then they'll repair it
You
and
can,
charge
but-
us for the next 20 years.
They wouldn't like it.
Somehow I'm like, this is your bill, we just took care of it for you.
Maybe.
That'd be all right.
I don't know, being a state road, I don't know if we can close it.
Yeah, that's our jurisdiction.
And what I'm
It's
saying
our road. It's just our road, it's just a
We
number.
maintain it.
It's a numbered route.
Yeah. it's a number. Okay, maybe we could get some more information on that.
Yeah, hopefully
Find out
after-
how much the lights cost.
I can look into that.
If you can.
Hopefully,
Maybe what kind of liability comes in.
right, my goal is that I can talk the main bridge engineer into letting one of the state engineers draw up a repair plan for that one beam. And we can put that in place and then look at options after that.
and look at the long term.
Strong,
just do it right down the
Well,
road.
they finally replaced it.
Let's get us through the winter and the fiscal year so we can budget for the next whatever.
That bridge engineer, he had to come up with District 3 or
District 2.
2?
You can go down to Pound 67 and take those temporary lights
Yeah,
and
no,
drag them to Barry.
Just throw a ball hitch on the back.
They got an extra one, they have an extra one sitting on the side door, they got 3 of them
No,
there.
seriously.
You got some pull down there, right?
Yeah, that's what I said,
But I
right
can't.
right in Pound, just commandeer them up here.
Okay, let's go, Bill,
We've
good problem
been
with the Beatles?
always dealing with
Oh, I thought
beavers,
we were
yep.
looking to adjourn.
Got the wood cut for the Chapter 90 projects, that's
Be ready,
done.
Joe.
Dealing with the non-stop storm repairs, seems like we only get 2 inches of rain at a time now. We started mowing, finally got the old mower going, Jimmy did. Keep your fingers crossed, and we're patching the potholes, that's what we've been doing.
Very good.
I haven't noticed that.
What's that?
I live on Williamsville Road, I just every once in a while, I haven't noticed any potholes yet.
We tried.
I really just want to have one.
Anybody have any questions for Jason?
The road that you wouldn't, you know how we
Let me know ahead,
skim coated Mechanic Street last year?
Yeah.
Is Williamsville a candidate for that, or is the washout underneath really just not gonna make that work right, or what is
It won't
Mechanic?
work unless we do something with the drainage.
They gotta fix the drainage this year and get to.
I'm just talking about
Yeah, but-
almost getting through the winter, because I don't know how that, your cutting's gonna work, clearing that coming up the hill nowadays.
Drainage,
But that drainage works.
It's an expense, the grind and resurface is not cheap, it's still a road resurfacing, they need to take it back up to fix the drainage.
As far as doing an overlay, that is,
And I'm only talking the one lane coming up the hill, because that's the one that's got
Yeah,
the
that
part.
road's-
I didn't know if it's
You
to
just
your
drive on the other
benefit
side
for
of the
winter,
road.
that's really what I meant.
You
Well,
drive
if
on
we-
the other side
if
of
we
the
buy
road.
those lights you guys are talking about, I can just put one on top of Bobby Hill there.
There you go.
It shows you that
then
light.
we
Just
can
make it one
Do
way.
that anyway.
Make it one way to Hubbardston, back around 62. There
That's a
you
good
go.
idea. We'll make it a big road.
We'll make it the
62 is one
Hubbardston, up
way.
Christian Hill one way, and then around, you wanna come back to Barry, come
Really asked
62.
about that.
There you go.
Picture right in front of you.
That's right.
They have to take it up to fix all the
Okay.
drainage.
Problem
Now,
solved.
it's time to adjourn.
Wait, John.
I make a motion to adjourn.
The meeting is
Yeah,
a
but
week late.
when are they gonna do that?
So as long as
Doing
everybody's
doing the
okay with
drainage,
that.
this fall, hopefully the road next year.
No.
No, October
16th,
16th because of Columbus Day.
Drainage,
That's
this
a-
portion.
you're gonna do drainage of.
Just the lower portion where you're planning on doing
We'd
right.
like to tie that in,
Oh, yeah.
Our meeting
you know,
was on
bigger
Columbus
as
Day,
early
that's a
as
week
possible, to get the outfall tied in. I don't know exactly when. That, I would like to see that happen immediately myself.
The boys the same house?
Motion to adjourn.
I still say put skim coat on there.
We can still overlay, yeah.
Thank you all for coming.
The winter time,